Good afternoon and welcome to St. John's Cathedral. We are so delighted to have you with us this afternoon for our St. John's music series featuring the Cathedral Ringers, which are our handbell choir under the direction of Mackenzie Lamb. We're so delighted to be able to bring this to you virtually, and we've got some special things in store for you, including an interview with Mackenzie, a little bit of teaching and how-to on the handbells, as well as a little bit of history. So hopefully you will glean a lot of information from what we're going to give you today and enjoy some wonderful bell ringing from our COVID Cathedral Ringers. Enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in to the St. John Music Series Cathedral Ringers program. I wanted to talk a little bit about how we are able to continue rehearsing and practicing the ringers during this time of quarantine and safety precautions as dictated by our state government and Governor Inslee's COVID-19 response. You'll notice behind me the Cathedral Ringers are practicing right now. You'll notice that they are each at their own table. They are wearing their gloves, which they normally do, so that actually worked out for us. And they are all wearing matching black masks. They look wonderful. But you'll also notice that those tables are distant. If you've ever seen a normal cathedral or a normal ringers group, they're standing right next to each other and quite close because they're sharing bells occasionally. In this case, Mackenzie has been able to find pieces that require no sharing of bells, which means that they can each be at their own table. And then, of course, there's no sharing of those germs. So as you see, they are distant 6 feet away from each other. They are working only on their own bells. They're not sharing and wearing masks. We feel pretty safe that we are keeping under the numbers that Governor Inslee has given us of gathering as well. And so we've been able to continue rehearsing, again, with safety protocols, cleaning measures in place, entering through the same door, making sure that gets disinfected after we're done. So we're thrilled that we're able to keep bringing you cathedral music in this safe way. I wanted to talk just a little bit about who we have here. And so if you follow down the tables, on the one side we have Vicky, Marguerite, and Burl playing. And then on the other side of the aisle, if you will, we have Beverly, Barb, and Steve. And so we're so thrilled that we can continue to bring this gift of music to you. However, as soon as COVID precautions are loosened, we cannot wait to get back to normal and be able to have our full cohort of ringers. But in the meantime, please enjoy this wonderful and very informative program brought to you by the Cathedral Ringers and the St. John's Music Series.
Bells are an ancient instrument. They've been used in many different religions like Buddhism and Hinduism. It's been said that they were used ritualistically to increase fertility, cure sickness, expel demons. We might be more familiar with the merry tintinnabulation of wedding bells or the slow solemn toll indicating death. Bells have even been used during wartime to alert their surrounding area that troops were invading. At a time when people couldn't text, call, or email, bells were used to send important information over long distances. Bells have been used throughout history to capture attention and convey information. Today, we'll be focusing on Western civilization and its bell history, primarily because that's where our handbell tradition comes from. European bell ringing initially began in places like France and Italy, but later spread throughout Europe. In 604, Pope Sabinian officially acknowledged the use of bells in Christian ceremonies. Around 650 to 750, bells made their way to England, which is very important for us, but we'll get to that in a second. During the Gothic period, churches developed huge bell towers, which of course we have a great example of Gothic architecture. Prior to Henry VIII and the Reformation, bells were hung in a simple fashion which allowed them to swing back and forth when the attached rope was pulled. During the Reformation, Europe witnessed the widespread dismantling of church bells. Serendipitously, they were later remounted, and this time on wheels. The wheels allowed the ringers to have greater control over the bell, when it started and when it stopped, when it sounded. This led to the creation of change ringing. We have reason to believe that change ringing originally began as a fun type of sport rather than a sacred call to worship. That changed with time. Change ringing isn't based on harmonies and melodies the way tune ringing is. Rather, it's based on specific mathematical patterns of notes. Here's an example. It takes practice to become a proficient change ringer. Usually when you learn an instrument, you get to do so in private. Not so when your instrument is a bell in a bell tower designed to be heard long range. As the story goes, the pealing of bell tower practice tried the patience of villagers who had no choice but to participate in the learning process. So it's no surprise that when an Englishman named Robert Core created the first tuned handbells sometime around 1694, they were primarily used by bell tower ringers for practice. English handbells allowed the ringers to practice without annoying their neighbors. As an added bonus, it enabled them to practice in warmer indoor locations. These original English handbells looked similar to our modern ones, but their handles would have been leather instead of plastic. The diatonic tuning is an important feature of English handbells, the precision of which was only improved after the lathe was invented. Since these handbells were tuned diatonically and played as a set, they were useful not only for change ringing, but eventually tune ringing as well. Tune ringing became popular, and it didn't take too long for English handbells to arrive on American soil. Who exactly introduced them is subject to some debate. Their introduction is often credited to P.T. Barnum in 1847, but there were others like the Peake family bell ringers who may have also been responsible for bringing the tradition to the States. Most English handbells in the United States today are made by one of two companies, Malmark or Schulmerich. Both companies are based out of Pennsylvania and located just down the street from one another. And that's another interesting story. So there you have it, an overview of the ever-evolving history of the English handbell.
Mackenzie Lamb was born and raised in Moses Lake, Washington. It was there she began taking piano lessons in the 2nd grade. During middle school, she discovered percussion, which has remained a part of her life ever since. Aside from directing handbells, Mackenzie enjoys teaching music lessons, playing percussion for contra dances, and being a member of a local band named Crooked Kilt. She earned her bachelor's degree in music from the University of Idaho and has been at St. John's since 2018. Mackenzie plays the marimba as well as the vibraphone, and we are thrilled to have such a talented musician and director as part of our music ministry team. Please enjoy this next video of Mackenzie playing Amazing Grace on the vibraphone. Mackenzie, that was just beautiful on vibraphone. It looks like it's so many things to think about. And then there's a foot pedal thing too, right?
Correct.
Like, oh my gosh, that's a lot to think about. So I would love to ask you some questions about the handbells.
Sure.
So how many handbells do we have?
We are just shy of 5 octaves, and
Okay.
then we have a duplicate set that's 4 octaves. It was donated by Dr. Stan McDaniel. They were
Wonderful.
they were his personal handbells, and we actually use those quite often. So we're very grateful and lucky to have them.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Stan. If you're watching, thank you. We are so grateful for that. So in your history that we saw earlier in the program this afternoon, you mentioned you had 2 different brands of bells.
Correct.
So what brand of bells do we have here at St. John's?
We have Schulmerich handbells.
Schulmerich. Okay, great. And then how old are these bells that I'm looking at here?
They're somewhere in the ballpark of 20 years old.
Wow. They look great for
Yes.
20 years. That's wonderful. So if you take care of them, I see the boxes, they're lined with the velvet. It looks like, everything's got its little soft, cushy place to be. If you're taking care of the bells, how long are they going to last?
It really does depend on how well they're being taken care of.
Sure.
If they're in good care, the bell casting should last. That's the metal here.
Oh, okay.
That should last a very long time. Now the
Uh-huh.
plastic components are going to wear down much sooner.
Of course.
After
right.
about a decade, you really want to check the plastic springs on the inside because they
Oh.
will start to wear out.
Okay, okay. Interesting. So you already started saying my next question was like, what are all these parts? It's called a handbell, obviously, but there must be some other name. So this is called the bell,
Yeah, you could call this the bell casting.
the bell casting. Okay, understood.
Yes.
Okay,
And-
great.
And so we also have the hand guard, which is this plastic disc.
Okay,
And then below that, we have the handle, another plastic part.
Sure.
And then on the inside, the part that moves and actually rings the bell,
Okay.
when you move it, is called the clapper.
like oh
Yeah.
no. Okay, it didn't work. We don't have a clapper here at St. John's, but we have them inside the handbells here. So could I hold one? Could I ring one? Is that something I could do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But before you do, we will need you to put on some gloves.
Okay, the gloves.
Yes, the oils, just the natural oils on our hands, actually can tarnish the casting.
Oh, well,
so,
that makes sense.
Yes,
Okay.
the gloves stop that from happening.
And that works well since we're in COVID, wearing gloves, got all of those germs not being shared. So, okay, that makes sense. All right, so if you have never rung bells at home, and if I've never rung bells, how would you go through teaching an absolute beginner how to ring bells? I've got my gloves, I'm ready to go.
Ready to go. Okay, so what we need to do first is make sure the bell is orientated correctly.
Okay?
We know this if we pick up our bell, there's a little tiny etching in the bell, just a
Okay.
little line.
Oh, yes, I see
And
it.
that's
Okay.
only on one side. And so
Ah.
you know that it's orientated correctly if when you put the handbell down, that etch is touching the table.
Oh, yep, there it goes. Okay, great.
All right, so now we're ready to hold our handbell.
okay.
So we're going to wrap our hand around just under the handguard.
Okay, hence the hand guard. That
Yes,
makes sense. Okay.
absolutely. And now we're going to tuck it back towards our shoulder.
Okay.
And our thumb is going to be pointing forward. And we
okay.
want to make sure that clapper is tilted backwards towards our body.
Got it.
And then when done properly, you should be able to mute the handbell with nothing more than a wrist motion backwards.
Oh, okay, that
Yes,
works.
that looks great.
Good,
Yes.
okay.
So now,
Now what?
when we go to ring the bell, we're going to use an elliptical hand motion with that wrist flick at the bottom just before we ascend. And then it's going to come back to rest in rest position. And then from there, of course, we can mute it.
Okay, elliptical wrist flick. Got it. All right, and mute.
Very nice. That's it.
Cool. Well, that was not too tricky. I think I can handle. Let me try it one more time. That was fun. Oh, now that one wasn't as good. I kind of felt like my wrist was a little interesting. So it's definitely about that wrist flick, isn't it? Yeah. Cool. Cool. Okay. All right. Keep going. I'm interested. So what other ways could you use this?
Well, so for one example, You could do a shake is another
Oh, okay,
sound.
okay.
It's very straightforward. It's a shake.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
Yep.
Great. Okay, cool.
And then there's also what we call a thumb damp. And so you put your thumb on the metal casing
Oh.
and makes a staccato sound.
Oh, I like
Yes.
the shake. That's really
The
fun.
shake is very nice. It's
Sure.
very exciting.
It is.
Now you also have a tower swing. And so with this one, you ring and then you step back and keep it in line with your body, no further, and come back. So it's a ring, down, up.
I did not know there was handbell choreography. Okay, we're going to try this. Step back.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm just rocking my weight.
That's
yes?
perfect.
And then do I
Yes.
bring this back and then I dampen it again?
Can mute it.
Okay. I'm going to do that again. The tower swing.
Yes.
That sounds so majestic.
Yeah.
The tower swing.
Very regal.
What? And do we use all these techniques in a song? Like, is this something that you find in handbell music a lot?
Well, there are plenty of different sound effects you can do with bells. You're unlikely to find all of them in one piece.
Oh,
but,
sure.
But yeah, in one piece you could find several.
Got it.
And you can even play the bells with mallets.
Oh, well, that just takes it up one notch. So, so what if you need to ring like two bells with one hand? Like I
Sure.
think I've seen, where people are holding two bells. So how does that work?
Absolutely. So that's called four in hand. And with four in hand, you have one of the bells, which you're actually going to hold on to normally.
Okay.
And then you're going to take the other one and you're going to turn it 90 degrees. And then you're going to place it in your hand just like so.
Got it.
That's why they call it four in hand. You have the
Oh,
other
I
hand.
see.
There's
Okay,
four.
four and okay, got
Yes.
it.
And then to ring the first bell is going to be a normal forward motion.
Okay.
And then to the second bell that's turned at a 90 is going to be a rotary motion.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't think I'm going to try that.
It's more advanced.
Yeah, I would say that yes, definitely more advanced but I think this is something that I could do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is what we mostly do.
That just okay. So these are really small bells that I'm seeing as far as size goes. So and they're pretty light. So let's just take that's the smallest one you've got right there. I brought my handy dandy luggage weight here or luggage measuring. Oh, well that doesn't even register at all. So how much does this weigh?
About 8 ounces.
8 ounces. Okay, and just a quick small cup of coffee, I think. Okay, but how? So I'm seeing these two large bell cases over here. How much is the biggest bell? Which
bell.
Which one is the biggest bell over
Will
here?
be
Go
our
ahead.
C3.
C3. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
It's this hefty one right here.
Okay, we're gonna try this out. Wow. Okay. And so what is it registering there?
We're at around 7 pounds.
7. There is no way that that's only 7 pounds.
It feels much heavier.
It sure does. My cat is heavier than this. 7 pounds. Wow. But I wonder, like if I'm holding it like this, right? All the weight's down here, right?
Sure.
But if I take this and I'm just a little bit nervous to do this. Oh, good. My little line is away from me. I feel like I should hold this with 2 hands. Like,
That's what I
don't
do.
want to. Like I feel like my wrist might. Okay, I'm going to try this. Oh. Yeah. Wow. Okay. There it goes. Would you ever do, what is that, the tower?
The tower swing.
The tower? I would be nervous to do the tower swing.
I would be too. We
Yeah.
have people with better upper body strength.
Yeah,
running
I
that.
would need to work out to be able to handle that.
Me too.
My goodness. Okay, well, I'm going to give this back
you.
before, so 2 hands for sure. 'Cause,
Yes.
Right? We don't want to drop the bell.
No.
Yeah, that's no good. So if somebody that enjoyed music, that maybe has sung in a choir or has taken some music lessons, if they wanted to play in a handbell choir, how does it work? Like, how do you do learning music? What is?
Sure. Well, everybody has their assigned position and their assigned bells.
Okay.
And then when we get a new piece of music, you'll have those assigned bells.
Okay.
And most often we take it down tempo and sight read through the piece.
Sure.
And
That
then
makes
from
sense.
there, the most challenging parts become clear.
Okay.
And then you would isolate and focus on those. And then as you eliminate the challenging bits, then you can focus more on stylistic details.
So if I'm going to just take these two in front of me, because as I'm noticing these bell tables here, right, we've got 2 bells. So I'm going to start simple. I'm going to have 1 bell in each hand.
That's
I think
great.
I can handle that. So every time I see my C6, and every time I see a D6, I just play that.
Correct.
Right? And then everybody else is taking care of all the other things.
Yep, don't have to worry about them.
So I just have, okay, so I'm going to we're just trying this for fun. We're going to see if I can do this. So this is in 3, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Excellent.
Whoa,
That sounded great.
okay. So I just am following along, and I ring the bell in the rhythm whenever my note shows up.
Yep, just like you did.
That was really fun. I'm going to keep going. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Oh, oops. 1 and 2, 3, 1. Oh, that's fun when you do it at the same time. Oh, I have to be quiet now. Okay, well, that was a lot of information on the background of handbells. Obviously, you don't have the music memorized, right? Because you've got the music in front of you.
Yep.
And so then, are you always playing the same bells, or how does that?
Generally, yes.
Okay.
So you have your assigned position, and no matter what piece we're playing, you cover those bells.
Got it. Are you ever covering another bell, or is it, pretty much you're just, these are my 2, or?
Sometimes you will share bells. For example, you have a C and a D. Maybe
Right.
one person has the C, another person has the D, maybe, and the piece. Sometimes you have the C sharp, but that's also the D flat.
Got
so
it.
you may both end up playing it depending on how a song modulates keys.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and-
So I might need this one, but then I put it back, and then this, my next door neighbor, in normal times, obviously not COVID, because 6 feet, right? There's no
Yes.
way we could, okay. So that's how we've been dealing with COVID times, right? We've got everybody on their own bells now, and
Correct.
their own table.
Own tables.
Got it. Okay, so so interesting. And so then my last 2 questions sort of deal with, like, what's your inspiration? Where do you find pieces? How do you go about picking pieces? And then also, who do you like listening to? Like, who are the bell groups that you're like, oh my gosh, this is great, we want to sound like them? What are those?
Sure. So when I'm looking for handbell music, my inspiration is generally what we're celebrating or what we're remembering, whether
Sure.
that's Jesus' birth or resurrection, crucifixion, or another biblical event.
Sure.
Those are so significant and rich with different emotions that when I find a piece of music that I feel reflects that, then that's pretty
the choice,
exciting. Yes.
right? Yeah.
And then as far as handbell groups, there is Sonos Handbell Ensemble.
Okay.
They're out of Berkeley, California.
Oh, okay.
And they do a lot of really innovative things.
Nice.
And then there's the Raleigh Ringers out of
Raleigh Ringers.
Raleigh Ringers,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Yes, out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And they're excellent. Both of those groups are worth checking out.
Nice. So some great handbell groups, but we're a little bit particular to our cathedral ringers here at St. John's. If you feel like you might want to join in the ringing, you can contact Mackenzie. She is our director of handbells here at St. John's, or you can contact me. I'm sure I can put you in touch with her. And as soon as we are out of COVID times and distancing, we would love to have some more people ring the bells with us here at St. John's. I think we're going to move to another piece now.
Yeah,
Yes.
sounds great.
Okay, wonderful. Enjoy. not handbells.
Nope, they were not.
What were they?
Those are hand chimes.
Like this, hand chimes. Okay, so now what brand is that?
This is Melmark. This is the other brand that makes handbells, but they're hand chimes.
Aha, okay, and then so we have a set, obviously. How many sets of this do we have?
We have 4 octaves of hand chimes.
Oh, nice. Okay, so talk me through the technique.
It's more or less kind of similar to the handbell.
Okay.
I've seen some people put the thumb on that little guy, other people don't. But it's the general technique. The big difference is with a handbell, of course, we would touch back that way.
Right.
You can't really do that with these, so you touch on the side.
Ah.
Or you could anywhere really, but obviously that just doesn't work.
So why use the chimes instead of the bells? What's the...
It just has a lovely, unique, novel sound.
Yeah,
Sometimes in a piece you'll have handbells and hand chimes as like a layering effect.
Okay. Yeah,
So
it's a very warm sound
It
in
is.
comparison to kind of that sparkling sound that the handbells do. So hand chime, handbells. We've got everything that you could possibly want here. If you want to be a part of the Cathedral Ringers, we'd love to have you after COVID. So contact us. We can get you ringing and chiming along with these wonderful people. So Mackenzie, I'm noticing there is some empty space in this bell case. So where are the bells here?
We actually don't have them.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's a problem.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you do if you need that bell?
In the past, we've borrowed it from other handbell choirs and churches.
Oh.
Or we just go without.
Well, I noticed that on this box there is an inscription that this handbell was donated in loving memory of Herb Sievertson by his family. So I wonder if there's anybody out there that feels compelled and called to donate. Now we could use 2 bells, right?
We're missing both of those, yes.
Oh, okay.
The D sharp, E flat 3, and then the E3 as well.
So how much does a bell like that cost?
One of those of that size, you're looking at $1,200.
$1,200. So, I mean, that would be a wonderful gift, a beautiful gift to the music ministry, to the Cathedral Ringers. If you have somebody that you would love to remember and honor with the ringing of the bell, just imagine the emotion behind ringing that bell. Every time you ring it, you know that's Herb Sievertson's bell. If you have somebody that you feel like you would love to remember and have them remembered every time that low E or that D sharp E flat bell would be rung, why don't you contact the Cathedral? You could contact me, Andrea Olson, or Mackenzie Lamb, and let us know. For $1,200, we can ring that bell in their honor every time, every week probably. Once a week we would practice and use that bell. So what a wonderful way to remember and honor somebody with music and with an instrument. So thank you so much for that information, and what a wonderful idea to sponsor a bell. thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We have had so much fun recording and putting together this great program for you. As a teacher, it's so fun to learn about a new instrument and get to try one out. So I hope that maybe I piqued your interest. If you are looking into joining a handbell choir, that is something that we can offer you, of course, once we are open for the public past these COVID times. In the meantime, please continue to join us for our St. John Music Series. Our next one is on December 6th, and it is our annual lessons and carols. But you could also join us every Sunday morning at 8:45 for our morning prayer service for some wonderful music as well. None of this would have been possible without the hard work of our technical audio-visual engineer, Brendan Beal, who is behind the camera and with his headphones on mixing this audio. We are so grateful for his help. Of course, we are incredibly grateful to Mackenzie Lamb and her hard work in choosing and preparing the Cathedral Ringers themselves for this event. And we would love to see your support shown either by sharing this with people on Facebook, or if you feel so moved, a donation to either the St. John's Music budget, the Music Fund, or the St. John's Music Series Fund. And don't forget, if you feel called to sponsor a bell for yourself or for a loved one in loving memory of someone, you can contact us here at the Cathedral, either myself, Andrea Olson, or Mackenzie Lamb, and you can let us know about that future gift. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful evening.